Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the BMW i4. In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the steering wheel buttons and the cluster. But if you want to walk through on the infotainment system, you'll find that down in the description of this video. Starting off, the steering wheel inside of the Ride is going to be heated as an option. If yours is heated, on the left side of the infotainment system, there's a button there that you can tap in order to toggle on your heated steering wheel. So just a single level there. You can also use the voice command prompt in order to toggle it on or off if you'd like to. The steering wheel is going to be manual telescoping. In the middle of the column, there's a release. You're going to go in and out, up and down to find that perfect position for you. Once you find it, click it in order to lock it back into place. There's also the option for driver seat memory and side view mirror memory. So all you're going to do is set up your side view mirrors the way that you'd like to, set up your driver seat the way that you'd like to. Once you do, you're going to hit set in either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. Very useful if there are multiple people driving the vehicle. But let's go through all the different buttons and stocks and things like that. So starting off with the one on the left-hand side, it's going to be for your blinkers. Pretty simple. There are 2 different buttons on the tip of the stick too, so you can tap it once in order to go to your different values, and that's going to be for your trip counter. You can push and hold that button in order to be able to circle it out, or zero it out essentially. There's a button on the bottom of that one, and that's going to be for your high beam mode. So there's the option for auto high beams inside of the Ride. So down by your left knee, you've got a series of other switches. So you can toggle your lights off completely if you'd like to. You can put yourself into an auto mode, which I recommend you're going to be in the majority of the time. But when you're in the auto mode, you can't permanently lock your high beams out. You can flash them, no problem. It's just that at nighttime, push away, nothing happens. When you've got that auto mode enabled, what's going to happen is if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to turn them off before turning them right back on again. Well, it's pretty simple there. But if you're in the daytime, or maybe you just want to lock your high beams up permanently, by your lefty, you're going to hit the headlamp mode. When you do that, you're then going to push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. You can use this little dial in order to increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen, and then you can use these to turn on the outside lights if you'd like to, so your parking lights. Stock along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you've got your different wiper speeds. If you go up 1 level, that's going to be your intermittent level. You could then use the rocker in the middle in order to figure out how fast or slow rain's hitting the windshield, or go into one of those crazy modes. And then you're just going to pull towards you in order to get that wiper fluid going. Nice and simple. And then putting yourself into gear, you could push up to go into reverse, lightly drop down to go into neutral, and then all the way down in order to put yourself into drive, back into park again. You could toggle your traction control system on or off. You can toggle the beeping that you get on or off. And then there are 3 unique drive modes with the flexibility of being able to customize it. But I like when you're in that sport mode, it just changes up the look of it that tiny little bit. There's an auto hold setting available. What that one's going to do is if you've got auto hold enabled, you're in drive, you take your foot off the brake, the car is not going to move. So you could toggle that on off if you'd like to. There's also your parking brake. Then, so many different buttons that are available. So this one doesn't have the available advanced safety driving package. That is going to give you adaptive cruise control and a lot of other useful features. If you're the type of person where you're driving on highways or interstates fairly frequently, I actually would recommend look at that available option, because otherwise you're just going to have traditional cruise, but the adaptive cruise gives you stop and go capability. So let's say if you set your speed, so you can toggle the cruise control system on this way. Once it's set, it sets you at your current speed. You could then push up or down to increase, decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. If you do a little bit of a lighter push and hold up or push and hold down, that's going to increase 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour faster. Or you can do a click up or click down in order to increase you 10 kilometers an hour at a time or 5 miles per hour. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can hit the cancel button to cancel your speed, and then you can hit resume to resume your previously set speed. But that's for traditional cruise. Adaptive would have a gap adjustment. So you'd be able to essentially set it, let's say at 80, you're on the highway just cruising. Car in front of you slows down with adaptive cruise, yours will brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your set speed again. I am a big fan of that adaptive cruise system because not only is it adaptive cruise in the BMW world, you've got a lane keeping system, a lane following system, and then there's also going to be steering assist available too. Like I said, this one doesn't have it. I highly recommend getting that one package. If anything else, get that one. There's also another one, which is your speed limiter. Where that comes into play is if you've got a lead foot, it is very easy to speed inside of electric cars. So you could set your limiter to whatever you'd like there. So we're on a 40 road there, so I can set it at 40. So what that means is as I go to accelerate, when I'm about to hit 40, it makes it a little bit challenging to actually get up to 40, and then it locks you in a place at 40. You can hit the accelerator pedal if you wanted to speed past that point, but it gets pretty challenging to do. And you can also set up the option inside of the infotainment system to get a notification when you're speeding. I'm not a fan of that system, but it's neat that you can turn it on. Once, if you're brand new to the EV world, that can be useful, like I said, if you've got a lead foot. Then you've got buttons along the right-hand side, so you could easily adjust your media volume this way. There's a switch down the center there if you wanted to adjust your volume that way. You could push that button into mute if you'd like to. Then you've got a little scroll wheel in the middle, and that's to move between different screens there. I'll touch on that one as we get inside. You can answer or hang up on a phone call. You can hit this to move between a few different views, and then there's also the voice command prompt. So you'll be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, control your climate, open up the sunroof. There are so many things that you can do using the voice command prompt inside of your ride here. There's a screen inside of the infotainment system that you can jump to that shows off all of the available options. But I recommend getting used to some of these prompts because it is really neat what you can do using your voice. Now on top of that, if you've got a phone connected, you do a long button push and hold on that assistant. That's going to bring up your Google or your Siri assistant or give you the flexibility of easily adding in a phone if you'd like to. Then inside of the cluster screen, you've got your gauges along the outside there. If you've got different light modes enabled, disabled, etc., you'll see different options there. High beams on, off, etc. You've got your current battery percentage along the bottom right side. So battery percentage versus your kilometers or miles till empty. Inside of the infotainment system, if you tap on this icon, so your apps icon, make sure you're in all apps, and then you could go to, there we go, system settings, date and time. You can adjust your language, but we're looking for measurement units. So you'd have the flexibility of being able to change this out. For your consumption, do you want to be in either kilometers per kilowatt, etc., miles, etc.? You can change up your distance too. So do you want to be in miles or kilometers this way? So you can kind of see it adjust everything as you move it out. That's one of the benefits of it being a fully digital cluster. So it's not only changing up the speed there, it's changing up your current range and everything else that you absolutely need inside of this ride. You can adjust out. Do you want your power to be in horsepower, kilowatt? How do you want your torque measured, your tire pressure, things like that? You've got your current time, your road speed, depending on the number of people in the vehicle, whether or not their seatbelts are plugged in, and then whatever gear you're currently in the very middle there. You've got your outside temperature, your current vehicle speed, and then you've also got your speedometer to the left. To the right side, you've got two individual gauges. So I want you to think of the outside gauge, or the upper gauge, I should say, as your traditional, I'd say tachometer to a degree. So what's going to happen there is as you put your foot down, this gauge is going to go up, showing you the amount of power. If you're in sport mode, that is going to use a heck of a lot more power in comparison to the eco or the comfort mode. So you've got your power gauge there that you're using, and then the bottom part of that gauge is the regenerative braking option. So as you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, the vehicle starts slowing down. You'll notice that this gauge starts to drop a little bit. If you kind of hammer the brake a bit more, you're capturing more of that charge, so that's going to drop down even more. It's a pretty simple screen once you actually get the hang of it. And then you can use your little buttons here and then this one in the middle to adjust out what's going on here. So we'll start off with going left versus right. So you could change between stations if you'd like to. If you push the middle scroll wheel, that's essentially an OK button, but it also brings up this screen. So you can jump between all of your available presets. If you hit the left arrow, that then gives you the flexibility of jumping between AM, FM, Sirius XM, or it's essentially all of your available media. If your phone is connected, that would show up. If you had a USB stick with MP3s on it, that would show up there too. Then you can easily move between any of the available sources. Once you do, you've got all of the available stations. But if you're back again, if you've set up presets through the infotainment system, that's going to show up here. So a mix of AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. Back again. And then the other one to point out is the one in the very middle. So if you tap that, that's going to give you the option of jumping between different views. So you've got just your basic content view. It's essentially going to be your economy that you've gotten, your basic content there. So you've got a little compass view. Down one more level is a map in cluster view too. So hold on, let's go ahead and, actually, why don't we do this? Navigate to Tim Hortons.
I have found multiple results for Tim Hortons.
Just going to select a random one there, and look at that. So you've got your mapping cluster view that's available there too. Love it. And then if we scroll back, so if we go back to this one, so you can see there, you can kind of see your little like directions there, but your mapping cluster view is the way to go for sure. And one really cool thing, through Apple devices, there's the option for enhanced integration. When you've got that setting enabled, your phone maps would show up right inside of the cluster screen there too. I love it. Moving down, you've got your available G meter, and then you've got your audio that's playing. Inside of all apps, if you go to your available displays, you can adjust out some things inside of the cluster. So you can configure content. Do you want your route preview showing, your G meter, media, radio, etc.? Do you want turn-by-turn directions showing up? Yay, nay. You can convert speed. So hold on, watch this. So do you want either both speeds, so kilometers and miles, or one or the other? There's speed limit assistance available too, with some limitations. So if you've got that speed limit turned on, you can get a warning if you're speeding, and then you've got different adjustments that are available. I'm personally not a fan of driving with that speed limiter on, but that one comes down to a matter of preference. I know that is a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the BMW i4.